Good evening and welcome. My name is Rabbi Zac, the founder and CEO of Shefa. Shefa creates powerful pathways to the heart of Jewish wisdom, practice, and community, inspired by the contemporary psychedelic renaissance. Because of Shefa, psychedelically curious and engaged Jews are able to find supportive community so that they may explore the contemporary psychedelic renaissance confidently grounded in their own tradition's knowledge of exploring and integrating encounters with expanded consciousness. In this way, we envision a world where religious traditions and psychedelic states mutually inform, enrich, and deepen one another to re-enchant spiritual life. We would like to remind folks that Shefa does not engage nor assist others to engage in illegal activities involving controlled substances. Nevertheless, we acknowledge that natural and synthetic substances, including psychedelics, are commonly used for religious ritual, growth, and healing, and such substances are legal or decriminalized in certain areas and or widely available through medicalization, prescription, or ritualistic use protected by religious freedom. Tonight, we have the honor of being joined by Rabbi Yosef Goldman, and I'll read his bio in just a moment. But this is such a potent evening that we have the opportunity to explore the new music that Yosef has brought into the world on his second album called Abitah. It's also a potent moment because we are almost in the middle of Chodesh Elul. We're almost in the middle of the month of Elul, the last month of this Jewish year, and have the opportunity through spiritual practice, contemplation, community, to think about the year that is about to pass away and the year that is about to be born. And for me, and I know many other people, music is a vehicle for that type of transformation. Rabbi Kalonymus Kalman Shapiro of Piazetzna, of blessed memory, he wrote in his spiritual journal, Tzav V'Ziruz, the following: sometimes a person must build ladders to climb to the heavens. A nigun is one of these ladders, specifically when we sing after the joy of a mitzvah, with a heart broken open. For those of us who are looking for a way to ascend to higher heights, I hope that tonight's evening of music, of prayerfulness, and of spirit is going to be a way to break our hearts ever further open to the core of our being. And gratefully, we have Rabbi Yosef Goldman, who's going to help us get there. Yosef is a prayer leader, rabbi, singer, and educator whose original Jewish music is sung in synagogues and schools across the country and in Israel. As a ritual artist and composer, Yosef weaves together ancient devotional music from both his Mizrahi and Ashkenazi heritage, alongside contemporary American and Israeli Jewish sacred music, to create spaces of healing, connection, and social change. As a Jewish spiritual educator, Yosef has served on faculty for organizations such as the Institute of Jewish Spirituality, Hillel International, the Rabbinical Assembly, and Hadar. Yosef's teaching facilitates deeper connection to authentic self and relationship and the divine through Jewish prayer and practice, including singing as an embodied spiritual practice. Yosef serves as senior advisor to Hadar's Rising Song Institute and co-leads the Rising Song affiliated ensemble Piyut Rising, that centers the musical spiritual heritage of Jews from the Middle East and North Africa. He lives in the DC suburbs of Maryland, where he serves as the spiritual leader of Sharei Torah Synagogue in Gaithersburg, alongside his spouse and co-rabbi, Annie Lewis. Rabbi Yosef Goldman, welcome to the Jewish Psychedelic Podcast.
Thank you, Zach. It's such a pleasure to be here, and I'm so grateful for your leadership and for the work of Shefa and the way that you gather so many people from such diverse places for deeper spiritual experience and healing and connecting to source and meaning. And it's wonderful to be able to join you on this month of Elul.
Well, thank you again. This is our first time doing something like this on the podcast, and this is also our first time doing some teaching, although we've had so many private conversations about what this kind of music and Torah means to us. So thank you for bringing it out into the public. Joseph, something that is very compelling to me about your music is just how deeply woven it is with your inner self and how much it is a reflection of your story, where you are from, and who you are. So maybe to understand you as fully as you'd like to be known, what do people new to you, your spirit, your work, and music need to know right now about you?
Thank you, Zach. Let's see. Tell you a little bit about my path, both as my Jewish identity and my path to being a rabbi and a musician. I grew up, like as you mentioned, in a mixed Mizrahi and Ashkenazi home on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, bouncing around between synagogues, modern Orthodox, shtibels, the Karbach Shul, and we'd go once a month over to Brooklyn to spend Shabbat with my Yemenite and Syrian grandparents. And around the Shabbat table there, we heard quite different sounds in the synagogue. And so combined created this hybrid Jewish spiritual heritage. Also, I think in a way gave me a sense of being an insider outsider. We're not many Mizrahi Jews in the Orthodox community that I grew up in. And was musically was also interested in a wide range of music. So from the records of Shlomo Carlebach to Tito Puente and Ravi Shankar and the Rolling Stones and Beethoven and Yesler Rosenblatt. So I was always kind of a seeker in music and started making music really early as well, singing in choirs from about the age of 4. Eventually joined a choir, a boys' choir known as the Miami Boys Choir, which oddly has recently become quite popular on TikTok, especially in Asia. Wow. So I was always singing from a very early age. I think I'm most often in the Jewish world. I've been singing harmony vocals, like with folks like Joey Weisenberg and the Hadar Ensemble. I think that I got that appreciation from singing around the Shabbat table, just all voices in harmony. And I continued with that sort of singing in days in yeshiva after high school, leading kumzitzes where we'd sit around a table and sing the whole yeshiva. And it was just kind of one part of who I was, as a prayer leader, as a song leader. And it wasn't until later that I really decided to pursue this as a path. I was more studying psychology and education and going down the path of first becoming an Orthodox rabbi. For another conversation, that path towards the Orthodox rabbi was shifted around some major changes in my life that had led me to exploring, pausing that path towards the rabbinate and exploring all sorts of other corners of the Jewish world. Found my way to teaching and co-leading prayer in communities of every Jewish movement, and also exploring other types of spiritual and ritual music making, from group singing to dancing, like ritual dancing with drumming and things along those paths. Eventually found myself studying in the rabbinical and cantorial schools of JTS. But my path to being a musician and a prayer leader is interwoven with my path to being a rabbi and a pastoral caregiver.
Well, you mentioned that there are some moments that created a shift or a change in the direction that you thought you were headed, with at least with regard to where you found yourself in the Jewish world. Having grown up like a fish in the ocean, right? Having music just be so deep as part of who you were and what you were doing. Is there some moment or series of moments where singing and music transformed beyond something that you just did as a family or did as part of what you were in the world to something more than that, to something deeper or more transformational?
Well, I think throughout my time in yeshiva, there were moments where I thought about and was writing music. I was maybe recorded something here and there, but never really imagined that it could be more of a path and more of a vocation that I really immersed myself into. And until probably after I left I guess at the time I was in Yeshivat Chovevei Torah studying to be a modern Orthodox rabbi. And when I paused um, to explore, to make sure that my spiritual path and my professional path were aligned with the needs of my neshama, with my soul needs, I was started making more music for myself. I was playing with a few bands, including a band called Frantic Turtle, which was something of a Talmudic free jazz sort of group with my friend Jake Marmer. I was playing and leading prayer services and in different places, and realizing that actually I really wanted to be deeply involved in the musical and spiritual life of community building. And that point in my life, I think credit goes to my dear friend Basia Schechter, who is a tremendous influence for me as a model for bringing full soulfulness and prayerfulness to music that transcends ritual and prayer space, that fills and transcends ritual and prayer space, gave me that spark that this could be something more, and including the path to cantorial school. And one more moment, I'll share Hakarat Hatov, gratitude to Joey Weisenberg. I was singing more and more with Joey and his Hadar ensemble, a beautiful composer of liturgical music and improvisational singing and playing. And it was Joey who sat me down one day and said, "Look, it's time for you to really put your songs together and create an album." And my first album was co-produced with Joey, and for the Hadar's Rising Song record label, and just kind of going through that process with intention to put that out into the world really changed so much. With once you put the music out into the world, it's out of your hands what impact it has, where it goes.
Well, certainly, what's out of your hands, but the impact where it goes. Open My Heart has been a family favorite. It is your first album is an album and a set of songs, and some songs in particular that have connected my daughter and I, our love for Jewish singing and music. It's something that I often put on the way to school as a way of not only having us having a moment of connection, but as also as a reminder for her when she is going into this dizzying environment, that her heart should remain open, that she has a love that is always there for her, regardless of what is happening. And your voice kind of leading the way has meant so much to me, and I'm sure so to so many more. So Thank you for that gift. Absolutely. Um, well, we often think about music, at least in the psychedelic world, um, as sometimes being a ballast for an inner experience, right? Is music in psychedelic therapy, people who go to far off places are being supported by the music that is being played for them um, to to be in some ways kind of like the bumpers of the experience, people feeling like they're not alone in that journey. But not often, and maybe another time to talk about music as an expression of expanded consciousness, as an outcome or an output of one who is able to open up their senses and let everything in and everything out. Now that you've produced these two albums of your own original music, can you share with us what your inner process is like with that you're when you're creating these new tunes, these new arrangements?
Sure. I guess there are multiple ways that um, that a song comes into being for me. I think first, for all of them is a deep desire, um, a desire for, I guess, self awareness and in the space of relationship with the divine. I'm thinking a lot about the prayers of Rosh Hashanah, where in the Musaf we talk. There are a couple of spots where we talk about the desire to pray and asking for help to pray. And for me, one of the ways that I listen to my soul's prayer is by writing music and then reflecting on, oh, what is that about? And what is it that was this mysterious um, entity that's this song? What is it expressing? And what can I know about myself from that? And sometimes a song might come fully formed. Uh, Open My Heart, the song you were referring to. I was the morning of the last day of the Rising Song Fellowship, which is a fellowship of um, really wonderful, accomplished musical, spiritual artists that were gathered for a few intensive days. And I was just feeling such an openness and gratitude for their presence in my life, and it kind of came to me fully formed.
Mm.
Um, Other times, like the song Ochila, which is we released as a single from this new album last Elul. I sat down with my friend Eitan Cantor, studying this text and saying, what does this text say about my relationship with the divine? Now let's take the nusach, which is the prayer modes, the scales and motifs that are actually very particular to that little section of the Musaf, and saying, so how can we deconstruct the nusach and use these building blocks of nusach to create a melody that expresses the way that we understand this text. Sometimes a melody will just come and I think it belongs to these words. And then I think, well, what is that melody actually about? Or sometimes actually it takes a lot of time to craft, get a 50% and have to sit and the piano and craft out the rest. But I was saying sometimes it's like, what is this melody saying? And does it actually fit the words that I thought that I was putting it to? And I have to sometimes switch it. But for all of them, it is in the context of a prayerful conversation with the divine.
Well, certainly that quality comes through again and again, and especially on this new second album, Abitah, that is ready to go. We've been listening to it in the Shefa staff for a while since you let us have it, and several of these tunes are starting to come out slowly, but I want to bring that music in now. So let's get into some of these songs from Abitah, and let's start with the titular track. Can you tell us a bit about where this song is situated in sacred Jewish music and what it means to you right now?
In sacred Jewish music. So this is a song that takes three disparate verses and um, finds meaning in their juxtaposition. And I envisioned this song as journey music, as something that someone can listen to in an intentional, focused way, um, either to set intention or to um, accompany one in their meditation. Um, it is taking well, the first verse where the word Abitah comes from. On the surface, it means the poet of the Psalms is praying that through the study of Torah, this may you reveal to me the wisdom about the meaning of this life. May I merit that the particular veils that darken my eyes be removed so that I can see the wonders that in your Torah that I didn't see before. The Hasidic masters read this as a prayer that we may see wonder in the world, in each and every moment in life, from the most, from the highest to the most lowly and mundane moments in nature, in our relationships, in our joys and our challenges, all of us, that we can see it all as a miracle. That we need to pray for that ability to see it, that any moment is an invitation to radical wonder and expanded consciousness of the divine. And the next verse, Mibsari Echazeh Eloah, is a central pillar of the teachings of Kabbalah and Chassidut, which essentially means that we are each able to discern the immanent presence of the divine through our sensory and extrasensory experience rooted in the body. For me, this is a very important concept because I've experienced a lot of chronic illness and chronic pain, which have shaped my spiritual journey and my how I've learned about this life, and ask myself often, what does it mean? Where is God in this? Not what is the meaning of my suffering so much, but where can I find meaning given that this is my experience? And at that point that there is there's the possibility to be fully present in each moment exactly as it is, in a way through the suffering itself, that just being able to sink into that moment, even for just a second, brings expansion, brings presence, brings awareness of the divinity that is the life force of all. Well, just the fact that there is life force behind all the pain and suffering, and that life force connects us to every other part of the universe and the light above. And finally, Kol Atzmotai Tomarna, Adonai Michamocha, which some might recognize from the beautiful poem of Shabbat, Nishmat Kol Chai, all of my bones will say, Adonai, God who is like you. My teacher, our teacher, Ami Silver, pointed me to a teaching from the Baal Shem Tov that what is this? What is it that our bones say? Our bones are silent. So first of all, there's a praise that comes from each and every being just by virtue of our being. That even in our silence, we are constantly praising, and our job is to tap in to the praise. But another way that I've thought about it is, how am I a praising being, even when I'm unable to make a sound? Even when I open up my mouth and try to offer praise and there's nothing. Finding solace in the fact that just my very existence just my very existence is an opportunity to connect, and that the life force, that this higher experience, higher mind, is something that is not at all dependent on me. Like a nay, like a flute, like a hollow halal. If I hollowed out, just my breathing in the breath of the divine, of the universe, and allowing myself to vibrate with that, the music comes and the praise comes.
Well, let's listen to that music and that praise now. Just a passage from Abitah here, from Yosef Goldman's new album, Abitah. Yosef, you've put together just these three of the juiciest lines possible uh, from our sacred texts and liturgy, and the way that you put them together. Obviously, there's no coincidences here, but moving through Mibsari Echazeh, right, one statement of being able to gaze at divinity through our very flesh, through our bodies, but then another phrase about the desire for vision. Nevertheless, even if I can see divinity through my body, I'm still asking for greater insight. And then the third line, the see part, there is no statement of seeing, right? The surface has been removed, and in some ways it's been completely internalized by the body, that can, the body itself, even without sight, but maybe the sound that Adonai mi kamocha, the body, even without being able, needing to view, needing sight or a vision to understand the reality of the miracle of nature, as you put it, the miracle of existence and consciousness. I want to maybe go into this way in which you construct new text and new meaning from disparate yet connected parts of our sacred literature in your next song, Nire Or. Want us to listen and learn together this marvelous track. So you've combined, again, several phrases from Sefer Tehillim, the Book of Psalms, here to create a new neural network of playful associations around light and darkness. What drew you to put these phrases together as you did? And what kind of consciousness are you hoping to catalyze through them for the listener, for the singer?
First, I was thinking about these first two texts in relationship, and was searching around a little bit, and then discovered that the Ben Ish Chai, great Iraqi Kabbalist of the 20th century, was put these together as with some other verses as a segula. It was a practice that he suggested to recite them on the eve of Shabbat, but also on the 25th day of Elul, which, according to our tradition, for Rosh Hashanah is the culmination of creation when humans were created. 25th day, going backwards, is the day light was created. Didn't see anything about why, but to me, this verses are all about light, but also call in kind of complicate the notions that we have about a binary of light and darkness, that we sometimes experience times of darkness, and that our goal is to get out of it as quickly as possible, that the darkness is the absence of spiritual light, and that's only found in times of light. So for me, it was an exercise in exploring what does it look like to connect to source of life in dark places. Going back to the previous song, we ended with Adonai mi chamocha. The me is the mystery. And the first verse here, Ki ata ta'ir neri, for it is you who lights my lamp. Earlier in this psalm, in chapter 18 of Psalms, the psalmist talks about God making God's dwelling place in darkness. And elsewhere, in just a few weeks ago, we read in Moshe was telling the second generation to leave Egypt about how their parents experienced God speaking from the darkness, and the mountain was ablaze. Well, just suffice it to say that there is a quality of presence of the divine and of the Or Elyon, of the higher light of God that suffuses all of creation, that is, our tradition teaches, is only accessible within the dark, and that can feel really distant because there might be ways in which what we're expecting to receive in response to our call is not there, but there is an intimacy of relationship that is particular, and there are ways. It was for me about a way of finding my path to connection in dark moments.
Well, let's listen to Nireh Or. We'll listen to the whole song, Nireh Or, off of your new album.
Ki ata ta'irni Adonai Elohai Yagia Hashki Ki ata ta'irni Adonai Elohai Yagia Hashki Kimcha Mekor Chaim Biorcha Biorcha Nireh Or Kimcha Mekor Chaim Biorcha Biorcha Nireh Or. Ki ata ta'irni Adonai Elohai Yagia Hashki Ki ata ta'irni Adonai Elohai Yagia Hashki Kimcha Mekor Chaim Biorcha Biorcha Nireh Or Kimcha Mekor Chaim Biorcha Biorcha Nireh Or. Elohim Yechoneinu Vivarechenu Ya'er Panav Ya'er Panav Itanu Selah
probably my most favorite song on the entire album, and I could keep listening to that with you and everyone here as well. I think probably for me, someone who focuses on my own darkness and am okay being there. I feel that my own confusion or um, things that are occluded my doubt is a place of also my ripening.
Mm.
Like just like plants, plant life, animal life, our bodies ourselves need darkness in order to rest. Um, but knowing that the possibility of light that exists um, provides me sustenance and it provides me comfort without me moving out of my state too quickly, or the desire to bypass from the moment that I'm in. Even in the verse that you shared, right? That chashki, even in my chashki, even in my darkness, it's not that I have come into the light, but only that I encounter God's divine light there. So even in the concealment, the knowledge of the fact that this is not necessarily how things have to be, but that there is a path, there is a movement toward um, toward divinity
Mhm.
that is possible one day, maybe soon. It's incredibly powerful, and for you to put these phrases together in this way, and the rhythms and the tone of this particular song, I find so energizing. And just like you said, um, really the movement for the listener um, is a deep and rich one. So thank you for this. Anything else you want to share just about this particular song
Sure.
before
Well,
we transition? Yeah.
first of all, I'll say everything that you're saying is so powerfully true and so difficult for me to to live. And my friend and teacher um, Batya Levine talks about writing the music that's the medicine that we need. Um, right, I'm not expressing this in music because it is the wisdom that I've mastered.
Mm.
But the hope to be able to take that in again and again and one drop at a time. I'd like to mention Yankala Siegel, who is the producer on this album, who an Israeli artist and producer who was a real charuta, a real soul study partner with me. Um, Brought a lot of these texts. We talked about them, talked about everything from you know, wrote out chord structures, everything from that to colors to the spiritual experience, and with his help was able to unlock a dimension of this beyond my imagination. And we recorded most of the album, or about half of the album was recorded in Israel, somewhat live. Half of the band one day, half the band the other day. This is one example of a track that we recorded in Israel. Um, the rhythm section day one, and then the singers, and in this case just me, and the melodic instruments, including the pianist Orel Oshrat, who brought such beauty and grace to so many tracks on this album.
Well, Rabbi Yosef, thank you for the hands that have created all of this powerful music, and thank you to the hands that have guided the hands for this offering, for this new year, for the Jewish people, and for all people who are hoping for some pathway into their own wisdom, into their own traditions, for expanding and deepening their consciousness, um, to be able to see the light of the one.
Ken Ratzon, so may it
Amen.
be.
Amen. You can keep up with what Yosef is doing on his website or his Instagram at yosefgoldman.bandcamp.com and at YOSGold, GOLD. That's his Instagram handle. Thank you again, Yosef, and we'll have all of the information in the liner notes of this podcast.
Thank you, Zac.